Poor single dad took in strange twin girls for one night, unaware their father was a millionaire. They were standing in the rain, two small girls, identical, drenched, shivering. It was past midnight and the street was dead silent except for the sound of thunder rolling behind the clouds. I had just come back from my night shift at the factory when I saw them, standing under the flickering streetlight like two forgotten reflections. "Are you lost?" I asked. One of them nodded. The other just stared at me with eyes too calm for her age. I hesitated. Taking in strangers wasn't wise. But then again, wisdom didn't mean much when your life was already falling apart. I was a single father, broke, tired, my son asleep upstairs in our leaking apartment. I told myself it would be just one night, shelter, warm food, then tomorrow they'd be gone. But the moment they stepped inside, something shifted. It wasn't the cold anymore. It was the silence that followed them in. They didn't speak much, just sat at the edge of the couch, their clothes dripping onto the floor. I gave them towels, soup, blankets. They thanked me softly, voices eerily identical. Then one of them said something I'll never forget. "Daddy will come for us." I smiled faintly, thinking it was just a frightened child's reassurance. But when I asked who their father was, they looked at each other, then at me, and whispered in unison, "You'll see." And for some reason, I believed them. By morning, they were gone. No note, no goodbye, no trace, except the damp couch and two empty bowls on the table. My son, Ayan, asked who the girls were. I said, "Just travelers." But even as I said it, something inside me twisted, because travelers don't disappear before dawn. I went to the police, reported what I could, but the officer laughed. "You let two strange kids in? You're lucky they didn't rob you." He didn't understand. They didn't take anything, except maybe peace. A few days passed. Then came the knock on my door. A man in a suit stood there. His car, a black BMW, idled behind him. He introduced himself as Mr. Khanna. "You helped my daughters," he said, smiling. "I owe you thanks." I froze. His daughters? The twins. He spoke like it was a business transaction, his tone polite, but his eyes were studying me, calculating. I told him it was nothing, that they scared, that I just gave them shelter. But his smile didn't change. "They told me about you," he said softly, "about your son, about how kind you were." There was something unsettling in the way he said kind, like it was a weakness. He offered me money, a thick envelope already prepared. I refused. He tilted his head. "A poor man refusing money? Interesting." I should have closed the door right then, but I didn't, because something in his voice, something quiet, dangerous, made me curious. And when I finally did shut the door, I realized he knew where my son went to school. He mentioned it, casually. I didn't sleep that night. Over the next week, strange things began happening. A car parked near my apartment every night. Same model, same tinted windows. My phone buzzed with unknown numbers, silence on the other end when I answered. At first I thought I was paranoid. But then Ayan came home with a new toy, a silver race car. He said, "The twins gave it to me at school." My heart sank. They were back. But how did they find him? I went to the school the next morning, asked the teacher. She said no one had seen twin girls, no visitors, no strangers. Still, the toy was real, expensive, something a man like me could never afford. That night I went through the garbage, found the wrapper of a chocolate brand that cost more than a day's wages. The same one Khanna offered his daughters during our brief meeting. It wasn't coincidence anymore. I started digging, slowly, quietly. A few calls, a few favors. I found his name in the business registry. Raghav Khanna, tech investor, real estate, multiple properties, the kind of man who could make people disappear with a phone call. And yet, what did he want from me? The answer came 2 nights later, when I found an envelope slipped under my door. Inside were photos. My son, Ayan, playing outside, walking home, sitting by the window, each one taken from a distance. And at the bottom, a note in neat handwriting. They like him. Let them visit again. I sat there for hours, the world spinning around me, my chest tight, my mind blank. Why my son? Why me? I wanted to run, leave the city. But running from a man like him only makes the chase more interesting. So instead, I decided to play his game. I traced the address listed on one of his companies. It led to an abandoned mansion outside the city. A caretaker lived there, old, half-blind, and eager to talk after a little persuasion. The twins weren't his daughters, not by blood. They were wards of a foundation he sponsored, children taken in after unfortunate incidents. But something in the caretaker's tone hinted at more. Fear, maybe. He said Kana visited often, always with a different woman. Sometimes those women left crying. Sometimes they didn't leave at all. When I asked about the twins, he said something that froze my blood. They call every man daddy until he proves unworthy. I left that mansion shaking. It wasn't a coincidence they came to me. It was a test. I was being watched. And suddenly I understood the photos, the calls, the silence. He was seeing if I could be bought, controlled, manipulated, like everyone else he owned. But I wasn't like them. I was poor, yes, but poverty teaches you to endure. And endurance is something rich men fear. So I waited, let him think I was breaking, let him think I was scared, until one night I invited him in. He arrived smiling, the twins holding his hands. I hope they weren't any trouble, he said. I offered him tea, my hands steady, my voice calm. We sat across from each other, the twins playing quietly in the corner. I found your mansion, I said softly. His smile faded for the first time. You've been busy. I know what you do there. A pause. Then laughter. Soft, cruel. You think you understand the world I live in? I leaned forward. No, but I know what will happen when the world understands you. I slid a small flash drive across the table. His expression shifted. Security cameras, I said. Your caretaker talks too much. For a moment, his mask cracked. Rage flickered in his eyes. But then he smiled again, colder than before. You don't scare me. I don't need to. I stood up. You'll destroy yourself trying to silence me. The twins looked at him. One whispered, Daddy? He didn't answer, just stared at me, breathing hard, realizing the checkmate he hadn't seen coming. Because I hadn't gone to the police. I went to his rivals, the men who wanted his empire. By morning, they'd know everything. He left without a word. The twins followed, glancing back once, expression unreadable. That night, the mansion burned. The news called it an accident. I knew better. It's been 3 months. Ayan sleeps peacefully now. The nightmares stopped. The mansion's ruins were cleared away, and Kana's companies were quietly divided. His name erased from headlines as though he never existed. No one ever found the twins. Sometimes I see them in my dreams, standing under that same street light, eyes too calm, waiting for another door to open. I don't feel fear anymore, or guilt, only understanding. We're all tested, in our own ways. Some of us fail, some of us endure, and some of us learn how to play the game better than the ones who invented it.
How could you do this?